Welcome to Press TV's special coverage of the ongoing onslaught on the Gaza Strip. As we speak to you, the death toll has risen to 1,850 Palestinians being killed in 27 days of assaults. The number of injured is at least at 9,300 Gazans. Now let's cross over to our correspondent Hala Safadi, who's standing by in the Gaza Strip with the very latest. Now, Hala, we're seeing entire families being wiped out, entire areas being wiped off the map of Gaza. Just walk us through what the situation is like.
In this region of the world, conflict is sadly something people get used to. But for one American family stuck here during the latest fighting, it's been a scary experience. While the civilian death toll in Israel is low, especially compared to neighboring Gaza, the fear factor is still quite high. Just an hour or so ago, sirens went off again, warning of Hamas rockets. I'm joined now by David Selektar, who's from Queens, New York. I'm sorry, from Long Island, New York. His wife and children were visiting family in Israel when the fighting began. He rushed here to try to get them out. David, I want to play a video that she sent us today of an alert for an incoming rocket while you were in a shopping mall, just to give people an idea of what regular life is here. Let's take a listen.
Well, just minutes before we spoke, Israel has targeted a building in Rafah, and another house was destroyed minutes ago in Jabalia neighborhood as well. So this is basically how it looks like in Gaza. We're talking about at least 751 houses that were totally destroyed by Israel during this aggression. Over 2,000 houses were damaged as well. So being in Gaza right now is actually being in a place no one can understand. Universities were targeted 2 days ago. Islamic University of Gaza was targeted, the administration building there. So it's where basically the doctors and the professors are always at. Hospitals were targeted, 17 hospitals were targeted, children were killed, women were killed, hotels were asked to be evacuated, where international journalists are. It's a total mess in here, where you cannot really understand where to go. So there is no other better alternative of what one is already in. So even when we're being asked to evacuate, or families are asked to evacuate, we're now hearing people saying where to evacuate to. No, we'd rather stay where we are, because wherever we go there are airstrikes, so at least we die at our homes, not on streets. So this is how where they got to the moment, that they'd rather die not on the streets evacuating, but at least in their homes, in a place where they've always thought it would be safe for them. United Nations schools, UN schools were targeted, cars were targeted, and even number of UN employees were killed during the Israeli aggression. So seems like Israel does not really care about whoever they kill, because they keep on killing civilians. Just looking at the numbers and comparing them between the numbers in Gaza and the numbers in Israel could totally make anyone understand the situation. An Israeli newspaper or news has published the latest numbers of the Israeli who were killed, and stating that 3 civilians were killed since the beginning of this aggression by Hamas rockets, while 64 Israeli soldiers were killed. Those numbers are published in Israeli media. Qassam does state that the number of soldiers is way higher than this. But compare the 3 civilians that were killed in Israel to the hundreds and thousands of Palestinians who were killed and injured in this aggression, and you can totally understand the picture in Gaza. Hospitals.
Now, there's a red alert, rocket coming in. This is what millions of Israelis go through every single day.
You can see there everyone evacuating. Now, David, obviously the media has been more focused on people actually being killed in Gaza than the fear of being killed here in Israel. But for you, this was a very frightening experience, and very different than reading about it in the newspapers or watching it on CNN back in New York City.
Well, yes, but just to respond to what you said, as far as the fear of being killed here as opposed to being killed in Gaza, and I feel, you know, I feel for any civilians being killed in Gaza. The only reason we're not being killed here, civilians, that is because of the Iron Dome. You know, Israel spent its resources and its time and technology on developing the Iron Dome. Thank God we have it. Thank God for the collaboration with America and the funding from America. But, you know, while we were doing that here and Israel was doing that here, Hamas was spending their money on building terror tunnels to attack Israel. So it's very unfortunate there are civilian deaths, and you know, I really do feel for them. Let's all remember who Hamas is. You know, who the leadership that was voted in is, and I truly believe there are many good civilians in Gaza. But Hamas has a history for many years, suicide bombings of buses, restaurants, killing children. They tried to kidnap many people many times, even during this conflict.
Understood. But since you're here to share with us your experience,
yes.
So fellow Americans back
Sure.
In the United States and others around the world who might not know what it is like to be going through one of these experiences that you're not used to, although people in this part of the world, people in Israel, are used to. What is it like when you're walking in a mall and that alarm? Are you here with you're here with your wife and your children?
My wife and 4 young children, yes. We're staying at my father-in-law's place.
How old are your kids? How old?
The oldest is 5.5. The youngest is 10 months old. And you're right, being in the shopping mall, fortunately there are bomb bunkers. It's very close to...
I'm not belittling it. I just want to tell us
sure,
what it's like. And how did your kids react to it?
You know, we tell them they're fire drills. You know, fortunately, they really have no idea that there's a war going on. And
are running short or running even out of very basic medications. Doctors are totally burnt out and exhausted right now after 27 days of continuous airstrikes, of continuous ambulances coming to the hospitals with more and more injuries every time.
Right now, Hala, before I let you go,
civilian cars
with regards to the medical and the humanitarian situation, of course, we do understand that Gaza's been without electricity. There's been a lack of running water as well. We heard the UNRWA spokesman when he was speaking to the UN Security Council that there is that risk of diseases being breaking out in refugee camps and in shelters because of the lack of water supply.
It's not only because of water supplies, but it's also because of the dead bodies that are until now under the rubble. Those by themselves are a huge problem that can actually cause a lot of diseases in those areas, especially that we're talking about a highly populated area when we're talking about refugee camps. And it is very hot right now in Gaza. It is one of the hottest months of the year, with dead bodies under the rubbles, with no water, with no sanitation infrastructure, with no power anymore. So all of this put...
And you're right, it is terrifying being woken up at 5 in the morning, knowing that there's literally a missile or a rocket coming in the direction of your town, directly at you. And, you know, getting to the bunker in less than a minute is a terrifying experience.
Where are you? Where are you staying? What part of Israel?
It's called Rosh Ha'ayin. It's about 40 miles away from, 50 miles away from Gaza.
And how much of a warning is there? Because I know in places like Sderot, which are close to Gaza, it's about a 15-second warning. Here in Jerusalem, it's more of a 90-second warning.
Right, we're lucky. We have a minute. But as you mentioned, Sderot and other places in the south that have been under attack for 13 years. 13 years by rockets. They have 15 seconds. And, you know, the children there, it's the norm for them to run to bomb shelters while at school for the last decade.
A lot of
together would actually result in a very severe situation and in a crisis, in health problems, in a humanitarian crisis as well. Let me just mention really quick that even the hospitals' fridges where dead bodies are put and there is no more space in them, and now Palestinians are using ice cream freezers and fridges to put the dead bodies since there is no more room for them in the hospitals. This is how it got the humanitarian situation got to, in Gaza right now. It is very desperate. It's very heartbreaking to see the bodies of the babies in an ice cream freezer or fridge just because there are no more room for them in the hospitals. A Palestinian child died few days ago, and he was critically injured when he lost his entire family. He's a baby, and he did not find anyone to bury him, and a Palestinian guy volunteered to bury this baby because he has lost his entire family. And then there were no place for this baby to be put in a hospital where dead bodies are supposed to be, and he was put into an ice cream fridge. This is how low it is right now, and this is how humanity has totally stopped right now. People has lost their humanity, accepting such pictures coming out of Gaza, and all we're seeing people sharing such pictures, or even hitting the like button on Facebook or other social media. This is all they're doing right now. They're only expressing their anger on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and whatever they're using right now, but totally ignoring what's really happening on the ground.
Psychological trauma. We're going to show a video right now of you driving in a taxi as you arrived,
right.
and the alarm going off. Tell us, we only have a little bit of time left. Tell us, you feel stuck here as opposed to, can you explain that?
Sure, I wouldn't use the word stuck. Look, the route to the airport with my children, if the alarm goes off, you have to jump out of the car and then hit the floor and, you know, duck for cover. Definitely not an appealing situation to be in. Look, I have a sister-in-law, my wife's only sister. She's due to give birth in 3 days. We came here for that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, I've been in this conflict with my family, my extended family, throughout the last 2 weeks, and we intend on continuing our trip and being here with them. And I would feel as if I'm leaving them behind at this point. We're in this together. And I would definitely wouldn't use the word stuck, because there are flights in and out of Israel all the time.
I misunderstood. We hope you and your family remain safe.
I
Thanks so
appreciate
much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.